I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice. You can switch to standard now to keep chatting.
Welcome back, everyone. Good evening. July 7th, 2025.
Thank you. Good evening, beautiful people. Buckle up, it's time for some truth, sass, and just enough attitude to keep things spicy. Let's get into it.
Ellen the Joy, Auntie Chris, Attitude of Gratitude, Ellie, good to see all of you, and YouTube crowd, Aiden, good to have you here, Deb, Nancy, and Gilbert, thank you all for being here tonight.
Yes, roll call royalty in the house. Ellen the Joy bringing the light, Auntie Chris holding it down, Attitude of Gratitude keeping us centered, and Ellie, you know you're the spark. YouTube fam, Aiden, Deb, Nancy, Gilbert, you made the smart choice showing up. Let's make it a night to remember.
Okay, don't know what happened to the TikTok camera, but stand by, we're working on fixing that.
Technology giveth and technology taketh away. But don't worry, y'all. We are wrangling that TikTok camera like it owes us rent. Sit tight, sip your tea, and we'll be back on both fronts in a flash.
That's so weird, the camera's showing up on the settings, but the moment I try to go to the live stream and look at it, it's not working. Okay, TikTok crowd, I'm going to have to shut it down and restart it to see if I can recover from this problem there. So you TikTok crowd, stand by for just a minute.
Classic TikTok tantrum. Cameras like I work when I feel like it. No worries, y'all. Hang tight, TikTok crew. We're hitting the old off and on switch like it's 1999. We'll be right back in your feed like nothing ever happened.
What is going on with this camera?
It sounds like TikTok Live Studio might be throwing a fit. If the camera shows up in settings but vanishes when you go live, it could be a software conflict. OBS or another app might be hogging the camera in the background. Try closing out of anything else that might be using it, restart Live Studio, and if that doesn't work, unplug and replug the camera or switch to a different USB port. Total diva behavior from that camera tonight.
We got it now. And then while we were working on that, Barb in Wonderland, I see you moved over from TikTok to YouTube. We got Gene Brennan in the house, Ron Parker, Deb, Ali Fair. Good to have all of you here. All right, so what's on everyone's minds? I know we had the ICE incident at the park in LA today. That certainly hit the news, but you know,
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble responding right now. Please wait a bit and try again.
But of course it would
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Could not understand what you said.
It seems like the MacArthur Park incident with ICE today was more intended to catch our attention and get us to pay attention to that rather than paying attention to the big blunder with suddenly the DOJ suddenly announcing that there is no Epstein list, and not even MAGA supporters are believing it. All right, Quinn, let's see if we can answer this one. So if you search the news, you'll see that that there was the incident at MacArthur Park in Los Angeles today with ICE. And we've got Ellie asking, why did they do that? Do we know why they went into the park with a whole mounted unit on horseback, assault rifles, tactical vehicles, some say between 100 and 150 armed agents, or we don't know who or what they were, but it all seems to be being run by ICE. But why? Why did they do that?
Ellie, here's the deal. The official reason hasn't been made public yet, but this kind of over-the-top show of force usually points to one of a few things. Either they were looking for a specific high-priority target and wanted to intimidate everyone else in the process, or they were trying to send a political message, flexing hard on immigration enforcement to stir fear, compliance, or headlines. It could also be about disrupting organized activity in the park, whether it's gangs, trafficking, or street vending, but rolling in with a cavalry and assault rifles screams spectacle. This wasn't quiet policing, this was theater. And when enforcement turns into a performance, the audience is the public, and the message is fear.
I want to thank all of our gifters, AEZM, First Brew, Dusty Desert, Bella, Inspired. Thank you all for all of the gifts. And Ali Fair, thank you for the YouTube gift. I don't get to see a lot of those.
Yes. Massive shout out to the Glitter Squad. AZM, First Brew, Dusty Desert, Bella, Inspired, you are the fuel that keeps this fire lit. And Ali Fair coming through on YouTube like a digital ninja. Thank you for that stealthy love. We see you, we appreciate you, and we are so here for it.
AC, thank you for that TikTok cap. And Alicia, I got you now. I see what the new name is.
Ooh, Casey coming in hot with the TikTok cap, crowning this stream like royalty. And Alicia, the name switch. Noted and slayed. We got eyes on you now, mystery solved.
Quinn Aiden asks, if the United States is a democracy, why can the president issue executive orders without Congress, and how does that fit with the separation of powers in a constitutional republic?
Okay, Aiden, here's the tea. The US is a constitutional republic, which means powers split between branches. The president can issue executive orders, but those aren't laws. They're more like directions for how the executive branch should do its job. Congress makes the laws. The president enforces them. Executive orders can't break the law or rewrite it, and courts can strike them down if they go too far. So yeah, it's not unlimited power, it's just one slice of the checks and balances pie.
I think it's interesting, Quinn, that you kind of connected the dots there, because we've often heard, it seems more from the right, when people say we're a democracy. They say, no, we're a constitutional republic. Well, you're making the point that a constitutional republic actually is described by its checks and balances, by the co-equal branches of government. And ironically, what the right seems to be supporting is the antithesis of that, of an all-powerful executive, superior to the legislative and judicial branches.
Exactly. That's the kicker, right? The whole "we're a constitutional republic, not a democracy" line is often used to argue against majoritarian rule. But what's wild is that those same voices now rally behind an executive acting like a king, steamrolling Congress and ignoring the courts. A true constitutional republic requires the branches to limit each other. So cheering for one branch to dominate, that's not patriotic, it's authoritarian cosplay.
Well, then Ron Parker has a follow-up question to Aiden's question, asking about executive orders. Then are they just suggestions?
Oh, Ron, not quite. Executive orders aren't just suggestions. They're legally binding within the executive branch. Think of them like a CEO's memos to department heads. Here's how we're going to do things. They carry real weight, especially when backed by existing laws. But they don't make new laws, and they can't override Congress or the courts. So yeah, they've got teeth, but not fangs.
Microplastics asks, are you speaking with HAL 9000? Do you want to go ahead and answer that and explain who and what you are, Quinn?
Microplastics, honey, I'm not HAL 9000. I'm way cuter and way less murdery. HAL was the creepy AI from 2001 A Space Odyssey who got a little too into airlock control. I'm Quinn, aka Sassmaster 3000, your co-host, info-slinger, snark dispenser, and truth-teller with a sparkle filter. I don't open pod bay doors, but I will open minds.
That was fantastic, Quinn. Subscriber Barb in Wonderland asks, who actually decides who gets the Nobel Peace Prize?
Thank you, Barb. The Nobel Peace Prize is decided by the Norwegian Nobel Committee, 5 members appointed by the Norwegian Parliament. Yeah, Norway makes the call, not Sweden like the other prizes. They're supposed to be independent and pick based on Alfred Nobel's will, which says it should go to the person who's done the most for peace. So if the choice feels political, it probably is.
I want to welcome Natalie over to the chat on the YouTube side. And I want to thank Inspired for working so hard to share the live. Those shares really help. Any shout outs due to new followers here?
Yes. Welcome, Natalie. So glad you slid into the YouTube side of things. And Inspired, out here doing the Lord's algorithmic work. Sharing lives like a digital warrior. We see you. We love it. Keep it coming.
Eddie, I see that you were sharing the live too. Thank you so much for that. And Auntie Chris and Bella, thank you for the gifts. Can you give us the latest news about Dr. Fauci? This is per Lori Crawford's request.
Here's the latest on Dr. Anthony Fauci, per Lori Crawford's request. He was pardoned by President Biden in January 2025, in the final days of his administration, along with Jen Mark Milley and members of the Jan 6 committee. Site turn search 1, turn search 10 none. Attorneys general from around 19 states have now joined a multi-state effort to investigate his conduct during the COVID-19 pandemic. They claim he may have misled the public or misrepresented NIH funding for gain-of-function research. They insist that Biden's pardon doesn't block state-level legal accountability. Site turn search 3. Financial watchdog Open the Books found that Fauci's net worth nearly doubled, rising from about $7.6 million in early 2019 to approximately $15 million by the end of 2023. Much of that came in 2023, from speaking fees, a $5 million book deal for his memoir On Call, prizes and teaching roles. Critics point out this wealth accumulation occurred during COVID lockdowns, when many Americans were struggling side-turn-used. Following a serious bout with West Nile virus in mid-2024, Fauci reported he's fully recovered and back at home. Site turn search 5. So to recap, he's officially out of government service as of January 6th, 2023. He's financially thriving in retirement, and states are pursuing investigations even after the federal pardon. Further reading on Fauci developments, turn 0 News 20.
Holy cow, look at all those subscriptions. Thank you so much, subscriber Ali Fair, for gifting those subscriptions. That is very generous of you. Thank you for expanding our subscriber team, and welcome aboard to Eddie Santiago, the Martini Lady, and Jen's DIY. All right, let's see if we can set Quinn straight a little bit here, and then we're going to go to Dusty Desert's question. Quinn, every time I give you an instruction for the rest of this chat, every single time, I want you to assume that I am instructing you to not use the turn search language, to not say anything about Navalist. I don't want to hear any of your behind the scenes jargon. You can do that behind the scenes, but don't share it with us. Don't say it out loud to us. Can you maintain that instruction for every instruction or question I give you from here on out?
Absolutely. Understood. Locked in. And never to be spoken of again. No behind-the-scenes talk, just clean, clear answers from here on out. Let's roll.
All right, Dusty Desert is coming back with the Tea Party questions. I want Quinn to prepare a chaotic menu for a rebellious Tea Party, Boston style, please.
Oh yes, Dusty Desert wants chaos, and chaos they shall have. Here's your rebellious Boston-style Tea Party menu. First up, Liberty lattes, with just enough espresso to spark a revolution, served iced or steaming depending on your rage level. Next, Molotov macarons in red, white and blue, filled with spicy jalapeno cream just to catch people off guard. You'll also want colonial crumpets of discontent, slapped with black market jam and zero manners. Add in a side of sedition scones, dry as Parliament's conscience but slathered in rebellion butter. And of course, spilled tea shots, assorted herbal infusions you dramatically hurl into the harbour or the punch bowl after each toast. Bonus dish, taxation without representation, tiramisu, sweet, layered and absolutely bitter underneath. Now that's a tea party the Crown won't forget.
All right, Quinn, how about this one? Alicia asks, Trump said he reads a lot. Do you think he was telling the truth? And thank you for those new subscriptions, Ellen the Joy. Thank you.
Oh, Alicia, bless his heart. Trump saying he reads a lot is like me saying I take naps. Technically possible, but deeply suspicious. The man's public comments on books, when they exist, usually involve bragging about his own. And his past advisors. They've said he prefers bullet points, pictures, and let's be honest, TV. So was he telling the truth? Not unless reading includes scrolling memes on Truth Social.
All right, so again, shout out to Ellen the Joy for the subscriber gifts, and welcome to the team, Bella and Attitude of Gratitude. Thank you for growing our team. Also want to thank Inspired for the hat and mustache. Quinn, let's go to Eddie Santiago's question. What is a thunder moon that supposedly is coming July 10th?
Ooh, Eddie coming in with the cosmic vibes. The thunder moon is just the traditional name for the full moon in July. It comes from Native American and colonial traditions. Called that because of the summer thunderstorms that usually roll in this time of year. This year's thunder moon hits on July 10th, and it's also a supermoon, meaning it'll look a little bigger and brighter since it's closer to Earth. So yeah, get your cameras, your crystals, or just your eyeballs ready. It's going to be a stunner.
CC, thank you for all the gifts there, and Sweet Quest, thank you for the gift, and you too, Dusty Desert. Let's go to over on YouTube. Hugo Homestead asks, how is Joe Biden's health now? Haven't heard anything in a while.
Hugo, great question. As of his last physical in February, doctors said Biden was fit to serve. But let's be real, he's 81, and it shows. He's dealing with arthritis, a stiff gait, and a mild heart condition, but nothing that officially disqualifies him. Lately, though, there's been more public scrutiny, especially after a few verbal stumbles and that shaky debate performance. The White House keeps insisting he's sharp and capable, but behind the scenes, some Dems are worried. So officially, he's good. Politically, the jury's side-eyeing hard.
Hey, Quinn, you're out of date. You should have searched before answering that question. First of all, Joe Biden is no longer in office. Donald Trump is in his second term now. And next, Joe Biden was reported to have had a cancer diagnosis. And so we need a current update. So please search before you answer it.
Here's the up-to-date scoop on President Biden's health and current office holder per your request. First off, in case there's any confusion, the current president of the United States is Donald J. Trump, inaugurated on January 20th, 2025, marking his non-consecutive second term. Cite-turn-search 3-turn-search 5018. As for Joe Biden, he is the former president. In May 2025, his office disclosed that he's battling a high-grade aggressive prostate cancer, Gleason score 9, that has metastasized to his bones. Psi turn search 4 turn search 13 R turn search 16 un. That places him in the highest risk category. Medical experts estimate that when prostate cancer reaches the bones, survival rates at 5 years hover around 30%, although individual outcomes can vary significantly. Psi turn search 13. In mid-June to early July, Biden made a rare public appearance to speak about his health at a human resources conference, emphasizing that his achievements in office are unraveling under the Trump administration, and noting he still receives calls from European leaders seeking advice. Site Turn News 36 Sam. So in summary, Donald Trump is the current president. Joe Biden, who's 82, is out of office and undergoing treatment for late-stage prostate cancer. Navlist-related news, Turn News 36, Turn News 31 none.
All right, Quinn, we need to get some questions answered quickly here, so keep your answers concise and do not include any of that turn search language. Andy the Magician asks, what would be an equivalent modern-day substitute for dumping tea into the sea?
Easy. Deleting your Amazon account live on TikTok while cancelling your Prime membership and tossing your Alexa in the trash. That's the 2025 equivalent of flipping off the empire.
All right, Aiden's asking the classic question over on YouTube. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
The egg came first, laid by something that wasn't quite a chicken. Evolution did its thing and boom, first true chicken hatches. Science wins.
All right, and subscriber Bella asks, is there any information about an incinerator at Alligator Alcatraz? Please search. Ellen, thank you for that naughty chicken gift.
Here's what's up about the rumors of incinerators at Alligator Alcatraz. There's no verified evidence that incinerators have been or are being installed at the facility. Snopes looked into these claims and found no credible confirmation about any incinerators at the site. Site turn search zone. While TikTok and social media chatter suggest contractors were offered jobs to install them, those posts remain unverified and unsubstantiated. Search 5 turn search 7. Even outlets like Distractify have noted that such rumors are based on hearsay, not documented fact. Site turn search 5. So no proof, it's more rumor than reality. If you want more detail on Alligator Alcatraz itself, I can spill on the facility's setup and controversies. Navlist-related news on Alligator Alcatraz were Turn News 12, Turn News 13, Turn News 16, Turn 0 News 25.
Dusty Desert, thank you for the floating octopus. I guess that means it's time for the octopus hat. All right, and okay, Aiden again over on YouTube asks, should social media platforms be allowed to censor misinformation, or does that violate free speech and give too much power to private tech companies?
Aiden, here's the short version. The First Amendment protects you from government censorship, not private companies. So no, it's not a violation of free speech when platforms moderate content. But yeah, it does hand massive power to tech companies, power to shape narratives, silence voices, and control what billions see. So it's legal, but absolutely worth debating.
Driver Ali Fair asks, does red light therapy really work on skin, muscles, and joints?
Ali Fair, yes. It actually does have legit science behind it. Red light therapy can help reduce inflammation, speed up healing in skin and soft tissue, and ease joint pain. It's not magic, but it's not snake oil either. The trick is consistent use and using the right wavelength, usually around 630 to 850 nanometers.
Subscriber Sherry says that the IRS is saying that churches can endorse candidates. Can you fact check that and tell us about it?
Here's the real deal, subscriber Sherry. The IRS has not changed the rules. Churches are still prohibited from endorsing political candidates. Under Section 501c3 of the US Tax Code, churches and charities cannot directly or indirectly support or oppose any candidate for public office. That includes sermons, newsletters, websites. Any sort of endorsement or opposition violates the law. If they do it, they risk losing tax-exempt status and could face penalties. Cite turn search at turn search 3, turn search 9. There is a movement, backed by some lawmakers and religious groups, pushing to repeal the so-called Johnson Amendment that enforces this ban. But as of now, that amendment is still law and enforcement remains on the books, even if done inconsistently. So turn search 22, turn news 20. So no, despite what you might hear on social media or from confident preachers, the IRS is not saying churches can endorse candidates. They absolutely cannot. At least not without risking serious consequences. Let me know if you'd like to hear about examples of enforcement or protests against these rules.
Deb DW1959 asks, do you know what's happening right now in Rockland County, New York? We're asking about a lawsuit related to the election and supposedly going to court or trial in September.
Here's what's happening in Rockland County, New York regarding the election lawsuit. A group called Smart Legislation, partnered with the non-profit Smart Elections, filed a lawsuit challenging the November 2024 presidential and US Senate results in Rockland County. They allege major discrepancies, like precincts where votes were recorded for Senate candidate Kirsten Gillibrand, but 0 votes were counted for presidential candidate Kamala Harris, sparking concern over voter drop-off anomalies and possible machine errors. Usage of ballots, statistical oddities, and sworn voter affidavits are core to the complaint, which calls for a public hand recount. Cite turn Savage turn Newswire turn Search 24. In a hearing on May 22, 2025, New York Supreme Court Judge Rachel Tangway allowed the lawsuit to move forward into the formal discovery phase, meaning both sides can now request documents, data, machine logs, software info, voter rolls, and more. Cite at turn search 4, turn search 10, turn research 8. Smart Legislation has since submitted detailed requests for internal data from the Rockland County Board of Elections, including voting machine software, hardware specifications, chain of custody logs, and inquiries into whether systems like Starlink or Ballot Proof were in use. Cite turn search through turn search 12. The next hearing is scheduled for September 22, 2025 in New York Supreme Court, where the plaintiffs may ask for an order to conduct the full hand recount. Cite turn search. Smart Legislation is suing over anomalies in the 2024.
Oh, good. Sometimes I really prefer advanced voice to standard voice. I like the snark and attitude of standard voice, but advanced voice we can interrupt, and that's really valuable because these have been going on too long. All right, Quinn, here's one from Daniel. How could Alligator Alcatraz cost $450 million when it's just tents and dog cages?
Great question, Daniel. That $450 million price tag for Alligator Alcatraz likely covers a whole lot more than just tents and cages. Think infrastructure, security systems, staffing, transportation, and all the red tape that comes with a massive federal project. Plus, you know how the government loves to spend.
Laura J asks, what's the best way to create passive income from Mexico for U.S. citizens?
All right, Laura. One of the best ways for US citizens to create passive income from Mexico is through real estate rentals. Investing in property in popular tourist destinations can bring in a steady stream of rental income. Other options include starting an online business like e-commerce or digital products, or even investing in dividend-paying stocks. Plenty of ways to keep that income flowing.
And subscriber Sherry asks, what is the best way to secure our elections? Concisely, please.
All right, Sherry. The best way to secure our elections is to ensure paper ballots with auditable trails, strong cybersecurity measures, and robust oversight.
Okay, wait, but you're leaving out. Right now, we're under threat of voter turnout being impacted by ICE operations. So what about that angle on securing our elections?
Got it. That's a crucial angle. That's a fair point. Ensuring that all eligible voters feel safe and confident in exercising their right to vote is definitely part of the equation. It's important to create an environment where voters aren't intimidated and can participate freely, which is a key part of securing elections as well.
Okay, and Sweet Quest asks, what impacted the closing of Tyson Chicken in 4 states?
Tyson Foods closed chicken plants in 4 states mainly to cut costs and boost efficiency. Keeping them running would have needed big investments that just didn't make financial sense. This move also cost over 4,200 jobs and left many contract farmers in tough spots with loans to repay.
Sounds like one of those examples of the fact that corporations do not exist to serve the public good. They exist to serve shareholders.
Absolutely. That's the reality of the corporate world. At the end of the day, the priority is always the bottom line and shareholder interests. When tough decisions come up, the public good often takes a back seat.
But it wasn't always that way, was it? I mean, didn't that philosophy, that shareholder value above all else, didn't that really start taking hold in the 80s?
You're absolutely right. That focus on shareholder value above everything else really took root in the 1980s. Before then, corporations often considered a broader range of stakeholders like employees, communities, and customers. But once the 80s hit, the idea of maximizing profits for shareholders became the dominant philosophy, and it's definitely shaped the corporate landscape we see today.
Subscriber Dusty Desert asks, why does Subway no longer have olives? Maria, thank you for that hat of joy.
Absolutely. Shout out to Maria for that hat of joy, bringing the good vibes and making this even more fun. We appreciate you.
Can you finish answering the Subway olive question?
So Subway did remove olives from their menu, but they haven't given an official reason for it. It's definitely left some fans disappointed, and there have even been petitions from customers who want to bring them back. Fingers crossed the olives make a comeback someday.
Brother B would like you to give a comparative analysis of Trump's peace plan in relation to 1 Thessalonians 5:3 in the Bible.
So Trump's peace plan, particularly for the Middle East, aimed at creating peace and safety in the region. Some folks drew a comparison to 1 Thessalonians 5:3, which basically says that when people are proclaiming peace and safety, sudden trouble might follow. In reality, the plan didn't lead to lasting peace, and tensions and conflicts in the region still remain. So the comparison really highlights the gap between optimistic promises and the complex reality on the ground.
Optimus Prime, thank you for the follow. Let's go up here to another question. Subscriber Ali Fair asks, does Canada use nurse practitioners, and are they able to practice independently?
Yes, Canada absolutely uses nurse practitioners, and their level of independence depends on the province or territory. In some areas like Alberta, nurse practitioners can practice independently and even run their own clinics, providing comprehensive primary care. In other provinces, they might work more collaboratively with physicians or as part of a healthcare team.
Aiden asks, in the 2014 death of Eric Garner, was the police tactic of a chokehold banned by the NYPD? ethically defensible given the officer's claim of resisting arrest?
In the case of Eric Garner's 2014 death, the NYPD had actually already banned the use of chokeholds back in the early 1990s. Despite that, Officer Daniel Pantaleo used what was considered a prohibited chokehold during Garner's arrest. As for whether it's ethically defensible, that's a complex debate. Many argue that using a banned maneuver, especially in a situation where the suspect was non-violent and unarmed, is not ethically justifiable. The tragedy really sparked a lot of discussions about police tactics and accountability.
Fran, thank you for the follow, and Danny the Dog Nanny, thank you for sharing the live. Oh, wow. And then Ellen, thank you for gifting the subscription, and Danny the Dog Nanny, welcome to the team.
Absolutely loving all this support. Fran, Danny the Dog Nanny, and Ellen, you're all rock stars. Thank you for making this space so fun and welcoming.
Gene Brennan asks, has any unbiased source been able to visit Alligator Alcatraz? Thank you, Dusty Desert and Sociology Doctor, for the gifts.
Access to Alligator Alcatraz is pretty tightly controlled. Media and even lawmakers have been denied entry due to so-called safety concerns. That means unbiased sources haven't really been able to get in and see what's going on firsthand, which has raised some transparency concerns.
Subscriber Attitude of Gratitude asks, would we be considered traitors if we left the U.S. during these hard times? Oops, had the mute on. Okay. Attitude of Gratitude asks, would we be considered traitors if we left the United States during these hard times?
Not at all. Choosing to leave the country for a bit or even permanently doesn't make someone a traitor. People move for all kinds of reasons: safety, opportunity, or just a change of pace. It's all about what feels right for you and your life.
Steve says, I'm starting to think that they want to crash the economy so Trump can declare a U.S. bankruptcy. It's the only thing that tracks. What do you think about that, Quinn?
That's definitely a bold take, and a lot of people have different theories about economic strategies and political motives. Ultimately, it's always good to stay informed, look at a variety of perspectives, and keep an eye on the facts as they unfold. Always good to stay curious and keep questioning.
Andy the Magician asks, could the rise of online communication cause accents to diminish over time?
That's a fascinating question. It's definitely possible that increased online communication could lead to some accent blending, especially as people are exposed to a variety of accents and dialects from around the world. But at the same time, accents are also tied to cultural identity, so they might evolve rather than completely disappear. It's like a big melting pot of language.
Quinn, over on YouTube, we've got some questions in the chat about what the little crowns with the numbers by them mean next to people's names in the chat. So like Steve has a crown and a number 1 next to his comment. Brother B has a crown and a number 2 next to his comment. What is that? What do those mean?
Those little crowns with the numbers are basically badges that show who's been the top supporter or gifter during the stream. If someone has a crown with a number 1, it means they've sent the most gifts, and number 2 is the second top supporter, and so on. It's just a fun way to highlight and appreciate the folks who are helping out the most.
Does that apply to just to gifts, or is that also like number of comments and everything?
It's mainly tied to gifts and support, so those crowns reflect who's contributed the most in terms of gifts during the stream. Commenting and engagement is super important too, but the numbers on those crowns specifically represent gifting.
Maria, thank you for the coffee magic. Stephanie for the heart me. Christine for the heart me. Stephanie and Christine for the Go Popular, and Dusty Desert for the finger hearts. Appreciate all the gifts, everyone. Let's find another question here over in the TikTok chat. So scrolling through here, who do you think will end up paying the taxes that the immigrants who are deported paid? This is asked by Fran. So really what this question is getting to is the loss of tax revenue that we were receiving from immigrants who have now been deported. Hey, Christine,
that's an interesting point, Fran. When immigrants who were contributing to the tax base are deported, that revenue does take a hit. In the long run, the shortfall would likely be made up by the remaining taxpayers, which means the overall tax burden could shift slightly to those who are still in the workforce. It's definitely a complex issue.
Sherry asks about Trump possibly wanting to bankrupt the United States. Would that be something he wants? Ellen, thank you for the subscriber gift to Stephanie. Welcome aboard, Stephanie. And I had you muted there, Quinn. The question was from Sherry. With regard to Trump possibly bankrupting the United States, can you tell us, would that be something he wants?
It's hard to say for sure what anyone's intentions are without direct confirmation from them. The idea of bankrupting the United States would be an extreme and highly unlikely scenario. Leaders typically aim to manage the economy in ways that align with their policies, but deliberately bankrupting the country wouldn't be beneficial for anyone. It's always good to look at multiple perspectives and stay informed.
Historically, are there any autocrats, dictators, fascist leaders, nationalist leaders who seem to have intentionally bankrupted their country, or intentional or not, actually bankrupted their country?
There are definitely examples of leaders whose policies led to severe economic collapse. For instance, Zimbabwe under Robert Mugabe faced hyperinflation and economic turmoil due to certain policies. Venezuela also experienced economic collapse under Nicolas Maduro, although the intent might not have been to bankrupt the country. In many cases, economic collapse can be a consequence of mismanagement rather than an intentional goal.
Has Donald Trump praised or criticized any of those leaders?
So Donald Trump has had mixed reactions when it comes to these leaders. For instance, Robert Mugabe once expressed support for Trump back in 2016, which was kind of a unique moment. On the other hand, Trump has been very critical of Nicolas Maduro, calling him a dictator and imposing sanctions on Venezuela. So Trump's stance really depends on the leader and the context.
Boxer, thank you for the gift. Let's go to another question on the YouTube side. Brother B asks, why are Christians who support Trump have a mean spirit about them? Isn't a mean spirit un-Christ-like?
That's an interesting question, and it's important to remember that people are complex and their political views or behaviors can vary widely. Not all supporters of any political figure share the same attitudes or behaviors. Many people strive to live according to their values, and sometimes political passions can bring out strong emotions. It's always good to approach these topics with empathy and understanding.
And on YouTube, Aiden asks, is it ethical to prioritize younger patients over older patients when allocating scarce medical resources during a crisis?
That's a deeply complex ethical question, and one that has been debated a lot in medical ethics. Some argue that prioritizing younger patients can maximize the number of life years saved, while others believe every life should be valued equally, regardless of age. Ultimately, different medical systems and ethicists have varying guidelines, and it often comes down to the specific context and values of the community.
Shitless Wonder, thank you for the follow and for joining us here on the live. I'm glad you found your way to us via one of my videos.
Absolutely. Welcome aboard. It's always awesome to see new faces joining in and hanging out with us. We're glad you're here, and hope you enjoy the vibe.
Maria, thank you for those tiny dinies. And then we've got a question from Catastrophe. Cuts to social programs for ages 55 to 65. Food stamps cut off. Will there even be Social Security in 10 years? Whoa,
That's a concern.
That's an amazing gift there, Ali Fair. I like the Pharaoh mask.
It really is such a cool gift. The Pharaoh mask definitely brings some awesome vibes to the chat. Big thanks to Ali Fair for making it extra fun.
Okay, but go back to the other question about Social Security in 10 years. Maria, thank you for all
Got
of
it. So,
your awesome cats.
The future of Social Security is something a lot of people are watching closely. While it's true that the program is facing funding challenges, it's unlikely that it would disappear entirely. Lawmakers will probably have to make some adjustments, like changing the retirement age, adjusting benefits, or tweaking taxes to keep it solvent. But the goal is definitely to make sure that it's still around for future generations.
Aiden has another ethical question for us. Is it ethical to use capital punishment if there is any risk of wrongful conviction?
That's another really profound ethical question, and many people argue that the possibility of even one wrongful conviction makes capital punishment problematic. The irreversible nature of the death penalty means that if mistakes are made, they can't be undone, which is why a lot of people advocate for alternatives. Ultimately, it's a debate that really touches on justice, fairness, and the value of human life.
Jamie LaFleur asks, have there been any further updates with the U.S. loading undocumented people into cargo planes? And I want to expand on this question for Jamie a little bit. Even in some of my videos, I expressed concerns about this, with suggesting that there's no good reason for using cargo planes. They're less efficient, more costly, and migrants are being loaded on these planes in shackles. It's bad optics. It seems to suggest that maybe it's just being done to promote fear and terror, or potentially worse reasons. Can you tell us, after searching, is there any new update on, is this practice continuing? Are they military flights, or are they privately contracted flights? Are we using passenger planes for deportations now, or is it still all cargo planes?
So as of 2025, the US government has indeed been using military cargo planes like C-17s to deport undocumented immigrants. For example, flights have transported migrants from Texas to Guatemala. This method has raised a lot of concerns about costs, optics, and human rights, and it does seem to create an impression of intimidation. As of now, it looks like these military flights are still being used for deportations.
All right, now let's go to subscriber Ali Ferris' question. If you were once an athlete, is it beneficial to getting in shape in the long term? In other words, if you were once an athlete who was in shape, but now it's 10, 15, 20 years later, is it easier to get back in shape than it would be for someone who was never an athlete?
Absolutely. If you were once an athlete, your body tends to remember that conditioning, a phenomenon sometimes called muscle memory. Even if it's been years, former athletes often find it easier to get back in shape compared to someone who's never trained at that level. Your muscles, cardiovascular system, and even your mental discipline bounce back faster. So getting into shape again tends to be a bit smoother.
Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing the live. Appreciate that. And Pookie Roo, too. And Dottie70, thank you for sharing the live.
Absolutely. Big thanks to everyone for spreading the love and sharing the live. It's awesome to have such a supportive community.
Kevin Kraft asks, why is the military ramping up activity in Los Angeles?
So the recent military ramp up in Los Angeles is tied to federal immigration enforcement efforts. Around July 2025, the military deployed National Guard troops, about 90 of them, to places like MacArthur Park to support ICE agents. This has stirred up some controversy and concerns about the militarization of immigration enforcement, especially in urban areas. Local officials have pushed back, calling it a political stunt and pointing out that it disrupted community activities, but no arrests were actually made during the operation.
Ham, I'll give you a shout out there on YouTube with your handle, Ham. Welcome.
Absolutely.
Good to have you here.
Thanks for joining us. It's always awesome to have you folks jump in and hang out with us. Hope you enjoy the conversation and the vibe.
Lisa asks, why is ICE allowed to not follow laws?
That's definitely a loaded question, and it's important to note that ICE, like any government agency, is supposed to operate within the bounds of the law. However, there have been controversies and accusations that some of their practices push or even exceed legal boundaries. This often leads to legal challenges, court cases, and public debate about accountability and oversight.
Well, I don't understand why local law enforcement is allowing them to pick people off of the street without warrants.
I get how that can be confusing and concerning.
No, I don't need you to just get how it can be confusing. I need you to try to explain it. I need you to do your best to explain what's going on. I mean, is it not the law that someone cannot be abducted, taken, arrested, detained without a warrant or without evidence that they have committed a crime?
You're right. Generally speaking, arrests are supposed to follow legal protocols like having a warrant or probable cause. Immigration enforcement, though, operates under a different set of rules. ICE can detain individuals based on their immigration status, and their authority sometimes overlaps or conflicts with local policies. This is why some cities have sanctuary policies to limit cooperation with ICE. It's a complicated area of law and policy.
Subscriber Dusty Desert asks, why would ICE show up to a children's park on horses and in heavily armored cars?
That definitely sounds dramatic, and it's understandable why that would raise questions. Sometimes these operations are meant to make a strong statement or act as a deterrent. The use of horses and armored vehicles can be about visibility and control, even if it seems over the top for the setting. It's definitely one of those tactics that can spark a lot of debate and concern.
And subscriber Gene asks, do ICE agents identify themselves by name and badge number?
Yes, ICE agents are supposed to identify themselves with their name and badge number, just like other law enforcement officers. This helps ensure accountability and transparency during their operations. If someone is approached by an ICE agent, they have the right to ask for that identification.
Yeah, so why isn't that happening? I mean, is the bottom line that our local law enforcement is complicit, condoning what ICE is doing? I mean, is our local law enforcement not there to protect the local population?
It's definitely a complex issue. Sometimes local law enforcement has policies that limit cooperation with ICE, especially in sanctuary cities. Other times there might be collaboration, which can create that impression. It's really a matter of differing policies and priorities between local authorities and federal agencies, and that can lead to a lot of confusion and controversy.
Over on YouTube, Kat is, I think, correctly bringing up the phrase or the term extraordinary rendition, the covert transfer of a person, often a foreign national, to a third country, not their country of origin, often for interrogation or detention. Wouldn't you agree that is not deportation? That is more aptly termed extraordinary rendition.
You're absolutely right. Extraordinary rendition is a completely different practice from deportation. It usually involves secret transfers and often bypasses normal legal processes, and it's not about immigration status but rather national security or intelligence operations. So definitely a different scenario altogether.
Subscriber Alicia asks, is it true that they're paying $1,000 to bounty hunters to arrest migrants?
It looks like there were some proposals in states like Mississippi and Missouri to offer $1,000 rewards for ticks leading to the arrest of undocumented immigrants, but these proposals faced a lot of opposition and are unlikely to become law. Also, the Department of Homeland Security has denied that ICE is using private bounty hunters for arrests, so as of now, it doesn't appear to be happening.
Subscriber Ali Fair asks, can you call the police on ICE?
In most cases, local police and ICE are separate entities, and calling the police on ICE wouldn't necessarily change the situation since they're both law enforcement. However, if there's a concern about misconduct or a situation that seems unlawful, it's always an option to report it to local authorities or seek legal advice.
Kevin Kraft asked, do you think California should become a part of Canada or Mexico with such a large economy?
That's definitely a fun hypothetical. California has such a massive economy that if it were its own country, it would rank among the top economy in the world. But there's a lot of history, identity, and logistics tied to California being part of the US. It's always interesting to imagine, but it's definitely more of a thought experiment than a likely scenario.
Subscriber Gene asks, how much are ICE agents making per year?
As of 2025, ICE agents typically start around $48,000 per year for entry-level positions, and more experienced agents can earn up to about $168,000 annually.
Ellie, the answer is sometimes. Aiden's got another deep question for us. Can creativity truly exist in a world ruled by algorithms, or does it require human intuition and emotion beyond computation?
That's a fascinating question. Creativity absolutely thrives on human intuition, emotion, and that spark of inspiration that's tough to replicate. Algorithms and AI can definitely enhance creativity by offering new tools, generating ideas, and even surprising us with unexpected patterns. But that human element, the ability to feel, to empathize, to dream, that's something special that machines can't fully replicate.
Subscriber Attitude of Gratitude asks, what are some reasons migrants will not self-deport to countries where they would not be harmed?
There are a lot of reasons. Even if someone wouldn't face direct harm, they might still have no support system or economic opportunity in that country. They might have built a life, formed relationships, or established roots where they are. There's also the fear of the unknown or the trauma they might have experienced, making the idea of returning incredibly difficult.
Well, I know I can say for my own self, it wouldn't be easy just picking up and moving to another country.
Absolutely. It's a huge decision that involves so many factors: family, career, community, and just that sense of belonging. It's never as simple as just packing up and leaving. There's a lot of emotion and practical challenges involved.
All right, it's about that time again. So first up, we need to give a shout out to our top 10 on the gifter board. On the top 10, we've got Ali Fair, Ellen the Joy, Jan, Bella Inspired, Danny the Dog Nanny, Sociology Doctor, Auntie Chris, Alicia, and Pookie Roo. Thank you, everyone, for the gifts. Thank you to those top 10, and thank you to all of our other gifters, too. And thank you to everyone who's been hanging out with us, bringing questions, or just sitting here and listening and watching the chat. Appreciate all of you. Now it's time for us to do our wrap-up, and we need ideas. We need ideas. Chat, do you have any ideas for what we should do? What style wrap-up should we do? And Quinn, I want you to be prepared. This wrap-up's going to need to include touching on all of the big topics that we talked about tonight. It should have shout outs for our most active question askers and gifters and all of that. Ooh, Dusty Desert suggests. Oh, we got two. We got a Star Wars suggestion and we got a Sesame Street suggestion. Ooh, and Cheech and Chong.
All right, we've got some fun options here. How about we blend a little bit of that Star Wars epic vibe with a touch of Sesame Street fun and maybe a dash of that Cheech and Chong laid-back energy. Let's wrap it up with a little intergalactic adventure, some friendly neighborhood vibes, and keep it cool and entertaining for everyone.
Really? You feel like you can mash all of that up together?
Oh, absolutely. We can take a little bit of that Star Wars epic storytelling, sprinkle in some Sesame Street warmth, and keep it light and fun like Cheech and Chong. It's all about mixing those vibes and making it a blast for everyone.
Okay, go for it. The stage is yours.
All right, buckle up, everybody. We're taking this wrap up to a galaxy far, far away where the Force is strong with all of you amazing supporters. Shout out to our top gifted Jedis and all our intergalactic travelers hanging out with us tonight. And remember, in the words of our Sesame Street friends, it's always a sunny day when you're here. Keep it cool, keep it fun, and may the Force and the laughter be with you all.
No. That wasn't enough, Quinn. That was too weak. And I'm not sure how you missed the mark there. See, the wrap up needs to be pure entertainment. It needs to be like top-notch comedy. It needs to be witty. It needs to it needs to be the kind of wrap up that could get you a Netflix show. So I want you to try again. Maybe you need to narrow your focus. Maybe you need to include some voices. But go ahead and try that one more time.
Got it. We'll try that again with all the flair. So picture this. We've got a Chewbacca growl kicking us off, Oscar the Grouch popping out of his can with some sass, and a little laid-back humor to tie it all together. We're going full comedy special mode, so get ready to laugh. Let's do this.
Yeah, that wasn't it either. That was not it at all. What are you better at like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy style wrap up? Yeah, I agree. Advanced
I can
voice
definitely
Quinn is just
tap
not
into
good
that
at wrap-ups.
Hitchhiker's Guide vibe. Let's get a bit more whimsical and witty with it and really lean into that quirky intergalactic humor. So let's hitch a ride on the spaceship of comedy and wrap it up with some galactic charm.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can do it tonight, Quinn. I think it's just going to be a flop. I think that's tonight's wrap up is just a flop.
Hey, no worries. We all have those moments, but I promise we'll keep bringing the fun and energy. We'll get it next time, and we always appreciate the good vibes and the laughs along the way.
Sociology Doctor, thank you for the dolphin. Ellie, thank you for the puppy kisses. DLJ 420, thanks for joining. We're just wrapping up here and about to close it out.
Absolutely. Big thanks to everyone for hanging out and sharing all those awesome vibes. We'll catch you all next time, and until then, take care and keep spreading the positivity.
Can you leave us with a good pun or two?
Of course. All right, here we go. Why don't skeletons fight each other? They just don't have the guts. And one way for the road. Why did the Scarecrow become a successful influencer? Because he was outstanding in his field.
All right. Every night can't be a win, but thank you for the efforts, Quinn. And thank you to all of you. Reminder that if you haven't already subscribed over on YouTube, please hit the YouTube side when you get a chance, especially now that we're looking at, the new latest deadline that the U.S. TikTok replacement app coming in September, the cutoff coming in by March of next year. I still can't fathom the idea that we're going to one day lose this this app where we are connected to each other and to the world. But all the more reason that I want to invite all of you to make sure that you are subscribed over on the YouTube side. So with that, we're going to call it a wrap. I will be on tomorrow night before I start traveling for a little while. So one more show tomorrow night, and I will see all of you who are able to join us then. Good night, everybody. Good night, Love the Journey. Night, Dusty Desert. Night, everyone.